Hi again. Or still, I had to follow up on that last video. The last thing that was said was that if we follow our ego, which most people do all their lives, and that's why there's cause and effect. You know, I choose something joyful, so later on I can get the pain. I choose to go get drunk, so next day I get a hangover and feel guilty, and so I feel guilty, so I'll go get drunk again. So the next day I feel, it doesn't necessarily have to do with drinking. It has to do with anything. It has to do with your wants and your desires and your life being ruled by the ego or little self. And I said there would be consequences to pay. As if, I do that, God will get me. God doesn't get anybody. God doesn't. God does definitely get you. He gets you like nobody else. But he never hurts you or punishes you. He doesn't do that. You've seen it changed lately in the way children are being raised because the collective consciousness is being raised. People aren't beating their children anymore like they used to. Well, that was out of hand. See this huge guy, you're this little kid. This huge guy comes along and he's beating the crap out of you. That's not the way it is anymore. I mean, it's still happening, but overall, pretty much, it's almost a law. You don't hit your kid. And I don't know how far you can go with that. You can go to extremes on either side. But I can talk about my dad and the way I was beaten by him. And actually, in this last couple of days, since I told you I had some changes happen, I had an argument with somebody, and then I came in here and I'm shutting the TV off and getting quiet for the next couple of weeks, so that I'm gonna avenge that argument that I had, and I'm gonna send out powerful light vibes all over the earth to you and to everybody else, and you'll just bounce them back to me to help me. But my dad, I'm going to tell you about a dream real quick. I wasn't going to do this, but my brother Bob has a wife named Helen. She passed been about 2 years now, I guess. And Helen used to take care of my mom when she had Alzheimer's. And I could never get away from my mom's house. I'd always go back to my mom's house. I was 28 years old or whatever, I don't know, but I couldn't find my way on this earth or anywhere else. So mom's house was the safest place that I knew. And that's another story. But Dad had passed away. She remarried this other gentleman. And I know she was on her own around this time. And so I was back at her house for whatever, a week, a month, whatever. And I'm on the couch down in the living room, and Mom's not doing too well. She was up in the bedroom, and Bob's wife Helen would come over and take care of her. And before she arrived, it was about 10 o'clock in the morning. I happened to pick up this big Bible. My brother James used to sell these Bibles, and we had one of these big Bibles, so old. I used to look at the pictures when I was a kid. And then I decided to open it and read it, like, for the first time. And I opened it to Genesis, and in the beginning God created the heavens and the earth. I think I read a couple verses, and I kind of drifted off and fell asleep. And the next thing you know, Helen was coming in the door, and this is a dream. I drifted off. Helen, Bob's wife, came into the front door, and I said, "Hi, Helen." She's looking upstairs. I went to the bottom of the step. I look at the top of the steps, and there's a bunch of people in the back room with my brothers, brother-in-laws. They're all in the back room, and so I woke up, and I went through the gentleman. I said, "What's going on?" Looked on the bed, and there's my dad, who had passed away maybe 10 years before, sitting up in the bed. Matter of fact, he was laying down, and he sat up in the bed when I came in, and he looked at me. and he said, "Can I be a piano player when I come back?" I said, I don't know if I answered. I forget if I answered, but I know that's exactly what he said. And when he said that, I woke up as Helen was coming in the front door. So the other day, after I had my argument, after I came in here and felt guilty and pursued things that would eliminate the guilt and allow love to come forth from me, you know, I decided to go out and play the piano. I hadn't played for the last week. I just hadn't, I'm going through this transition, this little bit of a painful transition. I went over to where I usually play this piano, over at a senior center in Manhattan Beach, and I really felt in my mind to go over there and play the Pathetique by Beethoven. Pathetique and Sonata in C major. When I got over there and I put the piece in front of me, I checked the place out, very calm, not going and busting anywhere. I move very slowly now to see if this is where I'm supposed to be. So I got on the piano and I played the Pathetique, and halfway through I started bawling because I started thinking about my dad and saying, "Dad, you kind of take over the keys." And it was like the presence was so powerful. And it was like I was bawling, crying while I'm playing the Pathetique, and I played Fur Elise, and the same thing happened. I played the Bach Prelude, the same thing happened. I played one of Billy Joel's song, and tears came again. I felt a resolution happen with my dad that I thought had happened a long time ago. I thought I forgave him, but here was a forgiveness that said, "Dad, you're welcome into my life, and you're welcome to play the piano right here with me." That really accepted him into my life, and so my relationship with my dad right now is like pretty solid, man. It's pretty cool, really cool. Some of you can relate with what I'm saying, and I pretty much like crying. I like it when I get a chance to, because it's pretty cleansing. We're not macho men anymore. We're real, and we're defenders of the earth. So, but don't fight. Let's not fight. Let me not fight. I'm not going to fight anymore. I'm just not going to do it. I refuse to fight. I refuse to confront people anymore. When something like this happens again, and somebody's out there doing something, and if I feel a tinge of aggravation, that's murder. That's what I was talking about in the last video. I said that something about that not only am I a loving person, but there's also murder here. Murder is a higher level of agitation. And it's the same thing. It's the same thing, it's just on a different level. So we want all these things eradicated. Guilt, and that comes from guilt too. Guilt and fear. Fear are the biggest culprit of them all. And the fear comes about because of the guilt. We feel guilty because I'm living my own life away from God, so I've taken God off his throne. I put myself on the throne now, and God's angry now, and so I'm scared. See, I'm walking scared. So I do everything I can to keep the guilt away from me that I took God off the throne and put myself on it, you see. And so I keep busy all the time, and I don't want to get quiet, because if I get quiet, God might be in there and he'll kill me. And it's and that's the ego story. Isn't the ego so swell? And that's not who you are. That's not who you want to be. God never punishes you, never hurts you. If you get quiet for an instant, 2 instants, or 3, which will lead to more, you'll see that in that place of quiet is your home. There's no death. It's your source. It's your comfort. And it's inevitable that we will all return to our source. And, alright, I won't be Tom anymore. You won't be Peg anymore. So what? What's so great about Tom and Peg? Judy, right? Or Kathy. What's so great about those people? Nothing really. You're not crazy about that person. The person that you're crazy about is that essence that is in you. That's what you love about yourself, and that's who you really are. And that's who's coming forth. And that's who's changing the world. It's changing your world. Because the world you see is your world. The world I see is my world. My perspective is different from yours. My concept of thing is different from yours because, you know, we're not separate, we're together. But in this egoistic world, our perceptions are different. But in the real world, we're the same. We have the same mind. It's a perfect mind. And it's a blessing mind. And I try to stay away from words that get too religious. But pretty much, that's my spiel. Later.